maybe you got demons you really fighting and you just trying to blame Houston. They just drive too fast in Texas. She's a little off. None. You meet Mr. Big Bag Nigerian. People who live in Houston are a lot more hungry, driven, goal-oriented, and are inspiring than in Dallas. And this is no shade, this is just facts. I love it here. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome back if you are not new. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and yeah, let me just hop into it. As you can tell by the title, I am going to be giving you guys an update and answering several questions my friend put together about living in Houston. So my name is Danny. I'm from California. I moved to Texas from Los Angeles. So I'm gonna go ahead and just start with the list of questions so we can get to the point. Cause your time valuable, so is mine. What is dating like in Houston? Honestly, don't beat me up. In my opinion, dating in Houston is not bad. I feel like anybody who lives in a major city feels like dating is just horrific, because in any major city, there's options. The more options you have, the harder it is to make a decision. You walk into an ice cream parlor, if there's 2 flavors, you got vanilla, you got chocolate. You know, things go quick. I can't snap my left hand. Not too much on me. Now, if you walk into an ice cream parlor and there's 30 flavors, you're gonna take your time. It's gonna take you longer to decide typically what it is that you really want. And I feel like when people are in major cities, they're experiencing being in an arena with 30 different flavors. But it's not to say that dating is hard. I think it's kind of cool, actually. You have more options. The more people you're able to experience, the more you have an understanding of what it is that you really want. Whereas if you come from a small town with less options, y'all recycling the same old dude. So I feel like in Houston, it's not hard to date when you're intentional and you're paying attention to what is in front of you. Now, some of y'all like yellow and red and orange flags and you walk towards it. That's a you problem. That doesn't mean that it's hard to date. That means it is hard for you to let go of things that are not in alignment with what it is that you claim that you want. Men and women both typically show you very early what type of time they're on. If you're looking to date and a man is texting you for 40 days and 40 nights and he ain't trying to take you on a date, baby, let him go. He's not in alignment. But when you gravitate towards things that are just not making sense with what you claim you want, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, it is so hard dating. No, it's hard for you to make healthy decisions and to cut ties when you see that your time is being wasted. I think dating in Houston is fun. I could say I've had a great dating experiences in Houston. I've met some cool men. I've been on some fun dates. I got to meet different personalities and I've got an idea of what I like and what I don't like. And honestly, what's cool about Houston, in my opinion, you might be entertaining a little Dusty and then you meet Mr. Big Bag Nigerian and you realize like, yeah, because little Dusty ain't doing enough. And that's dating in Houston. Now, obviously, it can get really ghetto, but like I said, in any major city, if you're intentional and you are very serious about what you want, then vetting should be easier. It's either in alignment or it's not. So dating in Houston is fun. There's a lot of options. I've heard girls say like, you know, it's hard to date in Houston. There's so many baddies. Baby, I'm bad. I coexist amongst the baddies. I love it here. I love it here. You gotta be confident in any room you walk in. Another bad girl should never make you feel like there's not gonna be something for you. I can't relate to low self-esteem. I can't. Next question, what is the culture like in Houston? Honestly, it really depends on what you moved from. If you moved from a place like Atlanta, you might feel like the culture is not extremely different. You moved from Kansas City, you might be like, whoa there, buddy. I came from California, in a nutshell, because when I left Cali, I did go to Dallas first, and we'll get to that later. But I will say in California, I came from Los Angeles, where it's not the most diverse there. It's heavily Hispanic and white, and the black people there are the minorities. Black, especially black women who are my color, are not celebrated. I'm not used to seeing a lot of black people thriving outside of like athletes in LA. So the culture here, I love it. It's black excellence everywhere. I've had black dentists, I've had black doctors, I've had black OBGYNs. I'm rooting for everybody black.
I am betting on black tonight.
I love that, you know, I live in buildings where a lot of my neighbors are black too, and I don't have to live in South Central to do it. It's very fulfilling. I love that, like, if I go out, the bottle girls are black. In LA, they might have 1 or 2 tokens black girls, you know what I mean? And one got that wig, you know the wig, you know the wig. So I love that, like, black is really celebrated in Houston. The culture, in my opinion, is great. Like any major city, there are pros and cons, but seeing that I've always lived in a city, I would say that Houston it's a fun culture. There's lots of food, there's lots of things to do. It's a place when you visit for a weekend, you can come back multiple weekends and you still will have not experienced the totality of what Houston has to offer. So I love that it gives so much, because like there's certain cities you go to and you go to their main attractions and that's it. You go to their main food places and that's it. In Houston, you never run out of things to do and things to try. In terms of like Southern culture friendliness, that is like a myth. I feel like if you're looking for a true Southern hospitality, you will have to go to those really country small towns to experience that. Houston is a melting pot with people from all different places. So the culture, you got, you know, you got the uppity, you got the very well-mannered people. You have a mixture of a lot of different things that you would see like throughout the country. Is it cheaper to live in Texas major cities compared to other major cities? So I've only lived in Dallas and I've lived in Houston. And if we're talking about like Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, like major cities like that, yes, Texas is cheaper. However, you do have to take in consideration that Texas cost what they pay is a lot less too. I think their minimum wage is like $7. Correct me if I'm wrong. In Texas, I want to say the average salary is like in the 40s. So like, if you're looking at really nice places in these major cities, I've never lived in Austin, San Antonio. I can't speak on where I've never lived. But if you're looking at these really high, you know, you're gonna have to have some sort of a bag. You know what I mean? I think people think that you could walk into a high rise for $500 and you could just be thriving. If you're in like the country, you can do it big, but there's nothing there. But the major cities like Houston, you do gotta have a little buck, but your dollar definitely does go a lot further. Things are like constantly going up because, I mean, things are going up everywhere, but so many people are moving to Houston. Businesses are moving to Texas. So Houston, as of now, you know, it is a city where your money can go further than a place like LA, but it's still like, it's not to be confused. You still have to be doing financially okay, depending on how and where you want to live. What are job opportunities like? Honestly, I don't know, because I've kind of been coasting with what I was coasting with ever since I was in California. Based on what I heard, it's not easy getting a job in Houston. I heard it's very challenging. The job opportunities aren't coming like super often, especially if you're trying to work in the tech field. But I don't really know too much outside of that. I personally would not move to a place if I didn't have a job lined up. But I have heard of people who have moved to places, with no job lined up, and they were able to find work quick. I think you would really have to financially be prepared for just not having a steady income. And I guess the question is, how much would you have to be prepared, and how long could you potentially be in that predicament of not having a steady income? So it's not something I recommend or encourage, especially in today's climate where like having a job is just so important. But go on Indeed, go on TikTok. They definitely will drop the tea. You will see what's going on. And it obviously also depends on the field you're in. I do know Houston has like a major medical field, so you might thrive in that arena. I wish I could help. I really do. What areas should you live in if you're single in Houston? I think it's hard to say because I don't know like every single, you know, place in Houston, but I do know the central areas would be like River Oaks, Midtown, Montrose, Galleria, the Heights, like the actual city of Houston. I feel like if you're new to Houston, you want to mingle, you want to kind of have access to a lot of popular places and spaces, I think living in one of those areas would be beneficial for you. However, if you go to the outskirts and you go a little further, it will be cheaper for you. And further might mean Katy. And I guess it just depends. Like, do you want to sit in traffic, your commute, where you're working? There's like different things you have to factor in when you pick your location. Like, where are you at in life? Like, how important it is for you to be in these central locations. Do you want access to places you want to go to a lot, or do you want to be able to save and then on the weekend to drive to the city? So I can't really answer that question for you. I would advise like really do your research on these areas, the pros and cons, and what your budget is and what it is that you want to experience and what makes the most sense to you. Is it easy making friends in Houston? I think making friends as an adult in general can be challenging. You know, I'm big 31, and if you don't meet people through people, it's kind of like Russian roulette, right? That stamp of approval, like they solid. But I've met girls through women and I'm like, she's a little off. So even then, you gotta kind of use your own judgment. I think Houston specifically, like what I have experienced thus far is when it comes to building relationships, it depends on what you value. Like me, I do value women who are more aligned with my morals. It's a lot of women who are prostitutes in any major city, and I don't mean like literally on the sidewalk, but just like they're scandalous, they're promiscuous, their morale is just So I think it can be challenging making friendships or trying to build friendships as adults. I think things that help is if you join clubs, if you pick up a hobby, and naturally you'll meet people there, and I would assume you guys have similar interests because you guys are doing the same thing, and then you could build relationships that way. You also can build relationships like depending on like I create content, so like social media has helped me like meet other women as well. I think making friends as adults can be challenging in general because I would hope as an adult your standard and your bar of a friend and what you crave and desire and expect out of friendships is a lot higher, so your vetting is different. I think you have to be mindful that just because someone's nice, fun, and cool, that doesn't mean they are a friend or someone that you should be trying to work to get too close to. So I hope that helps. What do you not like about Houston? I really do love Houston, but if I'm having to find something that I don't like when we are experiencing natural disasters, the whole power outages situation, because Texas is not on the rest of the country's grid. And I don't know if we were, if that would even make a difference, and if a difference, how much of a difference. But that is something I don't like. By the grace of God, I have not experienced multiple days without power, but I've definitely experienced multiple days without Wi-Fi. And baby, you might as well take the power too. No, I'm kidding. Another thing that I don't like about Houston, I didn't like this about Dallas either. The driving here, they just drive too fast in Texas. And because of the driving, when I left Dallas and I moved to Houston, I sold my car, so I don't drive, and I'm just a passenger seat princess. I've just really grown, like, just not like, I don't like to really travel far distances. I get motion sick now. I be over it. The cars just drive way too fast and aggressive. In Houston, I wish there was more highway patrol on the freeways. I'm used to being in a city where it's gridlock traffic and there's a lot of highway patrol, which helps prevent so much speeding and just a lot of stuff that don't need to be going on to go on. So yeah, that's all I could really think of, because I love Houston. Houston or Dallas. So I see this debate a lot of times. A lot of people would like to believe that Dallas is just like a lot more classier than I feel it is, because I lived there. But Houston, 100%. I think people who live in Houston are a lot more hungry, driven, goal-oriented, and are inspiring than in Dallas. And this is no shade, this is just facts. I love being around women who just really nurture themselves and have goals, and you know, their appearance matters, and they're really just, you know, they pour into self. I love being around people who are just really trying to get it, make a way, who are hustlers. You know, I feel like when you live in a place like LA and it's so expensive, you're always in grind mode. There's never too much money. You're always trying to figure out a new hustle. And some of the people I met in Dallas, they were just very complacent and content. And nothing is wrong with that, because what your definition of happiness and enough is fine. Like, it will differ. But Dallas to me was just a little too slow. Dallas to me was just, you know, living in California and living in like major cities, Dallas was like, yeah, you a city, kinda, but you kind of the country too. And I just wasn't ready for something like that. I feel like Houston is a lot more vibrant, but I did have fun in Dallas. I do hear there are a lot of great areas for Dallas if you want to buy a home, raise a family, but I feel the same way about Houston. I feel like there are suburbs in Houston where you can do the same thing. You don't have to be in the mix. I meet people and they be like, I couldn't live in Houston, I would party too much. Baby, I don't ever be outside. Maybe you got demons you really fighting and you just trying to blame Houston. I feel like your inability to take care of business and have self-control living in a major city because you just addicted to outside, that's really a you in an internal thing, because I be just fine. I like a good turn up every now and then, but like, I live in the city and I don't like crave like, oh my gosh, I gotta run to camp and I gotta be in a section and I gotta be screaming, get it sexy, jumping on the couch. I don't be feeling like that. So I can't relate to those who feel like Houston be having too much going on. Like, there is so much that you can do that it's not the club. You can go to museums, you can go to wine tasting, you can go to pottery classes, you can go gun shooting, you can go go-kart racing. There's just like so many fun things you can do. Like, your addiction to the club is your addiction to the club. And the last question, what are the best times of the year for Houston in terms of weather? None. None. All year round, It's ghetto. You really don't know. You don't know. This winter has been very hot. It rains when it wants to rain. You can never really put too much trust in the weather app. Things are just unpredictable. It's a humid place. I can't, you know, and then with global warming, things are constantly changing. Like, a lot is happening in cities where things aren't supposed to be happening. You know, when I first moved to Dallas, it was snowing. It's not supposed to be snowing in Dallas. Cali getting tornadoes now. Like, Houston is one of those places. The weather is unpredictable. I know 2024, July 4th and stuff, hurricanes, tornadoes was hitting. The year before that, it was hot summer turned up. Like, there really isn't a way to determine when to visit, when can you expect, like, you know. I'm hoping that spring 2025, like, you know, you want to feel like spring is safe, right? That is your safe place. I don't know. But yeah, you guys, I hope this video helped. This is like my 2-year update living in Houston. I love it here. You know, some days are better than other days, but that's just life in general. I think Houston is a great place to live. I love the relationships that I'm building. I love the woman that I'm becoming. I love the culture. I love the food. I love what it has to offer. It's not for everybody, but everything ain't. And that's just life. Drop a comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my perspective. It's just a perspective. Let me know what restaurants y'all recommend, because I love to eat. Share your experience with living in Houston or Dallas or just Texas in general in the comments, so if people come across this video, they can find your comments helpful if I'm not going into depth, especially if you are someone who has secured a job in Houston or have had trouble. Follow me on all my social media platforms. Hopefully TikTok's still around. Dannyyjacksonn. Follow me on Instagram. And I appreciate you guys for watching this video. If I didn't say it already, give this video a thumbs up. I love you guys.